Hey guys, so here's my next video on my next car. So this video may actually go a little bit longer than what the other ones have been because this is my WL Toys 124017 that I use for speed running, and I've been able to get some pretty good times out of it with what it has in it, and it's been a lot of ups and downs with this car with getting stuff kind of figured out on it and actually what I wanted the car to be able to do and to make some things a little bit easier. So we'll start to go over the car. I mean, there's a lot that's been done to this car. I'm sure you can see all the blue aluminum on it. I did well. I guess what I'll do is start at the front and work to the back. So on the front and the back both, I went to an actual hinge pin setup. This car used to have the just screws that went through, and you're always bending them. So I went to an actual hinge pin setup in the front and in the back. Um, I am running. They are the stock shock still. The only thing I did was went to a stiffer spring on them on the front and the rear. For speed running. Uh, it's got metal diff cases in it, front and rear. It's got aluminum hub carriers on it. And the main reason why I didn't run the car very much with the plastic ones on it before I did this upgrade. They probably hold up okay for the most part, but a lot of guys were saying if you're going to speed run the car, change out the hubs on it. So I did. So that's why they're on there. And until I have an issue with them, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Steering setup is factory. Servo is factory. I did do the aluminum top deck on it, just to strengthen it up a little bit, and I don't know, I guess kind of just to give it a little bit more pizzazz. It does have CVDs now, front and rear. Sometimes you can get the CVDs like on Amazon and places like that. Sometimes they're kind of harder to get a hold of than at other times. So I don't know if they just sell out of them and so it takes longer to get them. I actually have some extra ones now. I ordered a few pairs the last time I ordered them. It does have aluminum hex hubs on it. You want to go with the aluminum hex hubs, but you need to get the ones for specifically for the WL toys because the shaft size for your wheels is not a standard 5 millimeter shaft size. It's 4 millimeter. So the hex hubs are specific for this car to make them fit properly. And then there's once you put the hex hubs on it, there's zero binding in the diffs at all. I was having a problem with tightening the wheels onto it to keep them on it, and the hubs would smash down against the hub carrier, and then they would bind. So I ended up just getting the metal ones for it. It does have the stock steering servo in it still. It seems to be fine. Electronics is where this gets a little bit different than a lot of other cars. Okay, and I don't know why WL Toys did it, but when they went from the 124019, which had a 540 size brushed motor in it, when they put out these 124017s, and I think it was also in the 18s, they went to a brushless setup in them, but went to a 380 size motor. So ESC, it's got a quick run 120 in it, so I can run it on 2S and 3S with no problems. It's 120 amps, and these ESCs for me have been bulletproof, like 100% bulletproof. And then the motor actually took me a little bit to get. I got this from AliExpress because you can get them on Amazon, but they're like 3 times the amount of money that they are on AliExpress. I got this on a special, and I think it was like $47 or $49, and Amazon wants like 80 plus for the same motor. It's a Surpass Hobbies. censored 380 size motor. Puts out about 5,000 kV, and it's just what I wanted to go with. I love the censored stuff, and they're a little bit harder to get a hold of. Like I said, why they're so much more expensive than the 540 motors, I don't know. Then the only other thing I really did to it as far as upgrades aluminum wise to make it easier for me to do things is I went with an adjustable aluminum motor mount. Now these sometimes can be hard to get a hold of, and a lot of them are different. I ordered mine from a guy on eBay, and they work out really well. And this one that I'm using, it seems to have more adjustment on it than the other ones that you can get like on Amazon and stuff. I have sized them up and tried multiple motor mounts and stuff in this, and this one is the one I've been the happiest with. So, and then other than, I think some of this stuff like I put on here just to kind of, because I wanted to stiffen it up a little bit and make it look good, like the aluminum wing mounts and stuff like that. Now, where this car turns into a different situation than a lot of others is I didn't take the top deck off because I'm going to run it this weekend, but I'm going to try to see if I can give you guys a look at this. Okay? So what I have on mine is they make a slipper clutch for these cars, which is what this has. So it's got a slipper clutch that lays in here. And what I was able to do on this car is I was able to take a pinion gear from a Traxxas TRX4 that's 32 pitch. And it fit. I had to drill the hole just a hair bigger than what it was from the factory. And it fit perfect on the slipper shaft for this. Now, when I speed run it, obviously the slipper's locked down, but every so often I'll throw the buggy tires on it and play around with it and jump it and stuff, and it does really well. And I'll back that slipper clutch off a little bit just so it doesn't put too much strain on the drivetrain. Because what this comes with is a shaft that runs all the way through from the factory, and there's no give. So a lot of these cars aren't designed weren't designed around like these high powered brushless motors we're putting in them now. So every time you hit that throttle really hard on these things, without a way to protect it, it's putting all that strain into the drivetrain. And that's why a lot of guys are blowing diffs in them. It's not just this car. I mean, it's a lot of cars. Like the TT02s blow a lot of diffs. And it's because that there's nowhere for that excessive power to go other than to the diffs and the pinion gears that are in the diffs to try to absorb it. So I really like this setup with the slipper clutch. I went through multiple upgrades on this trying to get it geared better for what I wanted to do. I tried the Mod 1 gearing mod that everybody shows on YouTube. The problem with that is you have to take a Dremel tool and wallow out the motor mount. And then what happens with that when you do that is you guys that have WL toys will know this. Let me pull an extra motor mount out that I have, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Let me just get this out real quick. Okay, so here's the factory motor mount that comes with this. I mean, it's adjustable to a point, but not very adjustable. So the main reason why I went to this 32 pitch gearing setup on here is because this car comes factory with a .7 mod gearing setup, and they're almost impossible to find. You can find like a few gears for it on like AliExpress and stuff. Nobody carries them here in the US. So I wanted to do something that was easier for me to deal with. So that's why I went through this process of trying to get this all figured out. But anyway, so what the downside to doing that mod 1 gearing mod that everybody does on YouTube is this section right here where this old kind of oval is you have to wallow that out with a Dremel tool. And I know this from personal experience because I ruined probably 3 or 4 motor mounts trying to get this to work, or the mod 1 modification to work. So when you wallow that out, this piece actually slips down in here like this, and it sits down in there, and this is what holds your drive shaft in to keep it from wobbling around. So when you wallow this out, you can't put this piece in there, and it lets that drive shaft slap all over the place in there. So then you take your bending drive shafts, you're doing a ton of other damage to the car that really shouldn't be done. So with this 32 pitch gear setup that I'm running now, it's super simple to do, and everything is tight. In fact, I'm gonna grab a screwdriver real quick, and I'll show you, because it's only 6 screws to take the top off. So I'll pull this apart for a second. Like I said, I put it all back together because I'm gonna run it this weekend, but this doesn't take very long to so I can show you guys what it actually looks like. So let me just pull these screws out of here real quick, and then you'll be able to see for sure. And I just geared it up for this weekend because I want to see if I can get a little more out of it. And I was actually really surprised. I went from a 20 tooth pinion in it. Now it has a 22 in it. And I sized it up with some of the other 32 pitch pinions I have. And it gives me enough clearance, even with this little 380 size motor, to get all the way up to about a 28 to 32 pinion on it. So I've got a lot further I can go with it with this mod. So the other reason why I put this top deck in here is the factory one is one piece, and it goes all the way across the top, and it's plastic. And in order to change gearing, it was a nightmare, because you had to take the whole front of the car apart and take this where the steering's at and all that. So with this 3-piece, I can split this, and it comes apart in 3 pieces. So you've got a back part, a front part, and then the center part. So it's a lot easier to keep the car maintained. But see, as you can see here, see on mine, see that I got the blue one in here, but you can see the slipper sits in here. Everything lines up exactly the way it's supposed to. I'm hoping you guys can see this okay. I'm really not set up to do too much of this. So, and see, without that piece in there, this drive shaft could slap around in there. So what happens is, when you put this piece in there, when this piece goes back in there, like that, it locks down on the bearing that's on the front. And that bearing is on both this slipper clutch shaft, and it's on the regular factory shaft. So, and that's a vital part, because like I says, it keeps that drive shaft in there true and straight without it letting it slap around and giving the car a bunch of play. Nobody's really said anything about it, but I can't see the car not having a ton of vibrations by letting that drive shaft slap around like that. So, and I think I'm gonna run it this weekend with the rubber tires on it, just to see what kind of speeds I can get out of it. I usually run it with the contact foams, and I will probably end up throwing the foams on it at one point, just to see what the actual top speed I can get out of it. As far as the shocks go, I did go through and I put 60 weight oil in the shocks to stiffen them up. Like I says, I'm running a tight spring on the back and on the front, and so it's pretty tight. The whole thing with the speed running thing, like what I figured out real quick is from a lot of the guys that do like high speed stuff, is you never want the back of the car to get lower than the front. If the back gets lower, the car wants to take flight. So I run my rear suspension as stiff as I can get it. And then I use the droop screws to drop the front down below the rear. So that way I know 100% for a fact that the front is always going to stay lower than the back. And again, I'm going to try to do runs with a bunch of the cars this weekend, and I'll put running videos up to show you guys how they actually perform. This car's been a lot of heartache back and forth trying to figure things out and get things to fit. So I know that the one that came out after this was a four-wheel drive buggy, and they changed the gearing and they actually put a Mod 6 gearing in it, which is better because at least a Mod 6 gearing is the same as a Tamiya TT01 and TT02. So you can get pinion gears and stuff like that to fit it. But then again, I looked at that too, and a lot of the guys said the spur gear that's on that car will not fit in this car. So I got it to where it is now, and I've actually been really happy with it with the 32 pitch gearing. Like I says, I just don't want to I'm not one that wants to do a bunch of hacking on the car just to get something to work, to try to get an extra few more miles an hour out of it. That's just not me. What I decided on this one when I was in the process of building it, and what I've done with all my other cars to up to since that and up now, is I learned to take what the car gives you. So, like I said, motor size. On this one I stuck with the 380 size. So, oh, excuse me. I'm taking what the car gives me and trying to expand on that to see what I can get out of it. I actually, to be honest with you, I have a 540 motor mount for this, so I can throw a 540 size motor in it at any time I want to and see what it'll do on there. And eventually I probably will. But right now, I just want to see. There aren't a lot of guys doing much with the smaller motors and stuff in these that they come with. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this project with this one. And like I said, I still have a long ways that I can go with it to see how it can actually perform. There are some other videos prior to this one on my channel, and I've got links in there to like the parts that I bought and stuff like that. I'm trying to make the videos a little bit easier to get around on. So I'm not going to relist all of those parts on here because there were actually a ton that went into this car. Nothing was like super expensive, but there were quite a bit of parts ordered for it. So that's about it on this one. Like I says, I've been really happy with it. I may do some more mods on it as time goes on, as I enjoy running it more. But we'll just see, because right now I still have a lot more I can do with the car to try to get more speed out of it. So I'm hoping somebody at some point, like even if me and a couple of guys get together that have these and put like a challenge together or something with the lesser expensive WL Toys cars, like they're like RC Prescription and Right Place and them are doing with the TTO 2B that they're doing over there. It would be fun to do something like that with the all around stuff with some of this WL toy stuff, because I know there's quite a few of them out there, and a lot of people already have the car. It's not something you have to buy brand new to to be able to enter. So anyway, just a thought. It would be fun though. And so I'm going to end this one here. If you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know in the comments, and I'll answer them. I'll answer all of them for you. If you need help with doing something like this and going to a different gearing setup, just let me know. I'll help you out and talk you through it, or whatever you need. My email, if you want to email me direct, is on my YouTube page. So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, and I'm available for any questions you guys may have. So we will talk to you guys in the next one. I've got more cars coming over the next few days that I've been getting ready. So I will talk to you guys later.